You get up from the couch to go to the bathroom, close the door behind you, and there they are, sitting directly outside it, 3 feet from the door, staring at the space where you just disappeared. They weren't startled, understake. They didn't hear anything alarming. They simply got up, walked over, and decided that this exact spot, on the other side of a closed door, is where they need to be right now, for as long as it takes. Most people land on one of 2 explanations. Either the dog is anxious and can't stand being apart from you, or the dog just loves you so much they can't help it. Both of those answers feel reasonable, and both of them, according to the researchers who actually study this behavior, are missing what's really going on. Behavioral scientists have a specific term for a dog who does this constantly, across nearly every room, every time you move through the house. They call it a Velcro dog. And decades of attachment research suggest the explanation isn't simple neediness at all. It's something considerably more structured, borrowed almost directly from the psychology of how human infants bond with their caregivers. Let's start with the theory: almost everyone reaches for separation anxiety. It's not entirely wrong, but it's the wrong diagnosis for the vast majority of dogs who do this. Genuine separation anxiety is a specific clinical pattern. Dogs experiencing it show real physiological distress the moment their person leaves, panting destructive behavior, vocalizing, sometimes injuring themselves, trying to reach the door. Researchers studying separation-related disorder have documented this as a dysregulation of the attachment system, not a normal expression of it, and something that typically requires professional behavioral support to resolve. But here's the problem with using that label for a dog who simply follows you to the bathroom and sits calmly outside the door. If it were pure anxiety, the dog would show visible distress the second the door closed, pacing, whining, scratching at the frame. Most Velcro dogs do none of that. They just sit, calm, patient, present in exactly the way a person waiting outside a fitting room might stand. That's a very different behavioral signature, and it points to something else entirely. In 2013, researchers published a study in the journal PLOS One that borrowed a testing method originally designed for human infants, the same framework developmental psychologists use to measure whether a baby is securely attached to a caregiver. They put dogs in an unfamiliar environment and measured how they behaved with their owner present versus absent, and then compared that to how the same dogs behaved around a stranger instead. The results were striking. Dogs explored more freely and settled faster when their actual owner was in the room. When a stranger was in the room instead, that calming effect completely disappeared, even though a human was still physically present. This wasn't a general comfort from having any human nearby. It was specific to their particular attachment figure. Researchers call this the secure base effect, the same term used to describe how a human toddler uses a parent as a home base from which to explore the world, checking back periodically, secure in the knowledge that safety is close by biz. This reframes the bathroom door scenario entirely, Munchin. Your dog isn't panicking that you're gone. They're maintaining proximity to their secure base, the same way a toddler might hover near a parent's legs in an unfamiliar place, not out of fear, but because being close to that specific person is where their nervous system is calibrated to feel safest, regardless of what's actually happening in the moment. So why you specifically, and not just any adult in the house? This is where it gets more interesting, because the answer isn't really about affection at all. It's about what researchers call referential-looking multiple studies, have found that dogs check back toward their owner's face significantly more often than they do with unfamiliar people, particularly in moments of uncertainty or when facing a problem they can't immediately solve. One frequently cited figure from this research area found the majority of dogs, when faced with an unsolvable problem, look back at their owner rather than continuing to try alone, something wolves raised in nearly identical conditions do far less often. Domestication appears to have wired dogs specifically to treat human faces as a source of information and reassurance, not just company or warmth, which means the follow behavior isn't really about physical closeness for its own sake. It's about maintaining visual and informational access to the one person whose face reliably tells them whether the world is currently safe, whether something has changed, or whether everything is exactly as it should be. There's a genetic layer here too, and it's a strange one. Comparative genetic research has identified specific gene regions including GTF2I and GTF2IRD1 that appear to be linked to extreme sociability and a strong drive toward human proximity in dogs. In humans, deletions in this same genetic region cause a rare condition called Williams-Buren syndrome, characterized by unusually high sociability and an intense drive to seek connection with other people, often described as an almost compulsive friendliness toward strangers and loved ones alike. The overlap isn't proof of anything definitive, but multiple researchers studying dog domestication have pointed to it as a striking parallel, suggesting that at least some of a dog's compulsion to stay close to their person may be written directly into their genome, not simply learned behavior picked up over the course of their life together. Breed history adds another layer worth understanding. Some breeds were shaped over centuries to work in close, constant partnership with a single handler, herding dogs watching for a signal, retrievers waiting at a hunter's side. Companion breeds bred almost exclusively for proximity itself. That kind of selective history likely amplifies the underlying attachment drive on top of whatever genetic baseline already existed before humans ever started choosing which dogs bred with which a dog adopted later in life, or one who experienced an unpredictable early environment before finding a stable home, may also lean harder on proximity to a trusted person, simply because that stability wasn't guaranteed for them, the way it might have been for a dog raised in one consistent household from the very beginning. Here's the part that matters most for you as an owner. Velcro behavior and separation anxiety exist on the same spectrum, but are not the same disorder. And telling them apart changes how you should respond, sometimes significantly. A dog who follows you to the bathroom, sits calmly, and then settles back down once you return, is displaying a completely healthy attachment pattern. There's no need to discourage this or feel guilty about closing the door on them. This is your dog's biology, working exactly as intended. The same system that has kept dependent young animals safely near a trusted adult for longer than either species has kept written records of anything at all. A dog who cannot tolerate even a few seconds of separation without howling, scratching at the door, or showing visible panic is showing something categorically different, something researchers would classify as an attachment disorder, requiring a different kind of intervention, ideally with guidance from a certified behaviorist, rather than something to simply wait out on your own. The line between the two isn't how often the dog follows you, it's what happens the moment they can't. A dog who settles, sighs, and lies down facing the door is fine. A dog who genuinely cannot regulate themselves in your absence, even briefly, needs support beyond what patience alone can fix him. It's also worth remembering that this behavior can shift over a dog's lifetime. A young, confident dog who rarely follows you anywhere may become considerably more Velcro-like later in life, particularly after a stressful event, a change in the household, or simply as part of normal aging when their senses aren't as sharp, and staying close to a trusted person becomes more reassuring than it once was. So the next time you find your dog camped outside a closed door, patiently waiting for you to reappear, here's what's actually happening in that quiet, unremarkable moment. Somewhere in their genetics, a cluster of genes shared with a rare human condition may be shaping their drive to stay near you. Somewhere in their nervous system, the same attachment system studied in human infants is treating your presence as the baseline condition for feeling safe in the world. And somewhere behind that closed door, they are simply doing what tens of thousands of years of living alongside humans built them to do, staying close to the one face that tells them everything is still okay. Your dog isn't following you because something is wrong. They're following you because you are the most trusted, most reliable, most important thing in their entire world, and right now, they'd simply rather not lose sight of it, even for the few minutes it takes you to wash your hands. If this changed how you feel about your four-legged shadow, subscribe and leave a comment below. Does your dog follow you everywhere, or just in certain rooms?